In this video, I'm assuming you have watched the previous video about the story of Jane. Jane's story, remember, illustrated how not to speak to a narcissist. Our focus now is on a very different story. We're looking at highlights from the story of Lisa. Her story is important because she has a good grasp of how to speak to a narcissist. Lisa once had a boyfriend named Jake. He was not a full-blown narcissist, but he had very pronounced tendencies in that direction. For example, Jake would often overreact when Lisa didn't make him the center of attention in a situation. But Lisa knows how to speak to a narcissist. When Jake would get angry that she didn't cater to him, she said things like this: "I want to hear what you have to say, but it's very difficult when you're so forceful. It makes me think about how to protect myself rather than what you are saying. You want me to hear you, right? So could you try to say it in a different way?" If that didn't make him stop his verbal bullying, she would say, "This feels like blackmail. The only way I can escape your anger is to agree with you. I do respect your opinion, but I want my opinion to be respected also." And if he persisted, she would end the conversation. For example, she would calmly and firmly say, "We need to take a break. I don't want to discuss this until we can each really listen to each other." If Jake made decisions without considering her, she would say, "It feels really awful that my wishes and needs were not in your mind when you committed us to that. I can't support that until I feel like you've heard my concerns." Lisa had a lot of different things to say to Jake. She had at least 5 different ways of interrupting him when he was hogging the conversation. If he talked nonstop, she would say, "Hey, I'd like more airtime." Or she would say, "Wait, I want to stay on what you just said. Here's what I think." Lisa is so effective at handling narcissists that I've made a cheat sheet of key phrases and statements that she uses to speak to a narcissist. In a minute, I'll explain how you can get that list. But Lisa wasn't always so effective. She earned her stripes. Just like Jane, she had worked for a woman who was a narcissist, but unlike Jane, she learned how to hold her own. She later worked in a job with several narcissistic men. It was sink or swim, and she was determined to learn how to swim. She learned how to respectfully hold her own with all those big egos, and she did it without changing her own personality. She found her own voice without becoming obnoxious like they were. So how did Lisa pull this off? Here's how she met this incredible challenge. First, she has always been passionate about personal growth. When she encounters difficult people, as we all do, she doesn't just think, "How can I get rid of this person?" No, she thinks, "How can I learn from this? How can I grow?" Second, she truly values relationships and people. She's a thinker, she's very self-aware, and she's almost always a student of relationships, trying to figure out what makes them tick, what makes them work, what makes them go south. In particular, Lisa thinks a lot about respect and what respect means practically in relationships of all kinds. Lisa often pivots on her own strong view of kindness and respect. She has a spiritual core that grounds her when she makes decisions that involve people, and it guides the way she speaks to them. The third reason Lisa is able to handle narcissists is that she has a healthy self-regard. She really gets the idea that respect is a two-way street. She doesn't bully people, so she holds the high ground when disagreeing with narcissists. But she has a strong sense of fairness and a healthy sense of entitlement. And yes, there is such a thing as a healthy sense of entitlement. Oh sure, Lisa has had her own string of defeats. She's had to give up trying altogether with a few pure narcissists, but Lisa believes fundamentally that people matter. She doesn't just write someone off because they have narcissistic tendencies. Because she believes people matter, she knows that she matters. And what especially matters to her is to grow in how she does relationships. She is constantly looking for ways to increase her emotional intelligence. Lisa is warm, clear-eyed, but she definitely knows how to say no. If Lisa's approach resonates with you, then I invite you to join me in a journey. It's a journey of raising your emotional intelligence so that you can effectively deal with more and more people, even narcissists. Click on the link you see on the screen and sign up for my tips and stories for upping your game with relationships. There's no charge for this, but I warn you that it will cost you. How will it cost you? You'll be challenged to rethink some of your cherished assumptions about how to deal with people, especially narcissists. But if you've watched all 3 of these videos on how to speak to a narcissist, I kind of suspect that you want more satisfying relationships. If you want more skills, tools, and emotional intelligence, then I think you will be quite pleased. Here's what happens after you sign up. In the first few days, you will get a PDF list of strong things to say to a narcissist. I'm even including an audio file that illustrates the tone of voice to use when you speak to a narcissist. And as you read my emails, you'll start to see how to tailor all this to your own personality and your own specific situation. You will also receive the chart I mentioned in the video about the story of Jane. I call it Jane's Moth-to-the-Flame matrix because it lays out how narcissists devour people like Jane and shows you what not to do. So I'll see you on the other side when you sign up at howtospeaktoanarcissist.com.